Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this urgent meeting. As you are aware, we've discovered a serious breach of our privacy policy involving a third-party service provider. We need to address this promptly and effectively. Let's start with an overview of the incident. Gabrielle, could you give us a summary?
Sure, Mr. Jones. During our routine security alert, we found that the third-party service provider managing customer support inquiries accessed and shared users' personal information without authorization. Excuse me. The details on how the data was shared and specific data involved are still under investigation.
Thank you, Gabrielle. This is a significant issue. Bungu, what can you tell us about the third-party service provider's role and their access to our data? The service provider handles all incoming customer support inquiries. They have access to personal information to resolve customer issues, including names, email addresses, and phone numbers. However, their access is supposed to be strictly controlled and monitored, which did not happen in this case. Understood. Yankel, from a legal perspective, what are the implications of this breach?
Well, Mr. Jones, I'm Yankel Crankle. This incident constitutes a violation of our privacy policy and potentially severe data protection laws. Depending on the jurisdiction of the affected users, we may face legal actions, fines, and of course, most of all, damage to our reputation. And we can't have that. We must address this swiftly and transparently.
Absolutely. Let's move on to identifying the root causes. Gabrielle, what have we identified so far?
Preliminary findings suggest a need for proper access controls and monitoring on the third-party service provider's end. It also appears that they have more access than necessary, and there was no real-time monitoring to detect unauthorized data sharing.
Bungu, do you have anything to add? I agree with Gabriel. Additionally, there was insufficient training and awareness about our data protection policies among the provider's staff. Thank you. Now let's discuss the impact. Gabrielle, what do we know about the data that was compromised?
We are still investigating, but it potentially includes personal information such as names, email addresses, phone numbers, and of course details from customer inquiries. We are currently working to identify the extent and specific individuals affected.
Understood. Yankel, which steps should we take legally to mitigate the impact?
I'm Yankel Crankle. Well, firstly, we need to notify the affected users and relevant data protection authorities promptly. We should also engage with the third-party provider to understand how the breach occurred and to ensure they comply with our investigation. Lastly, we need to prepare for potential legal repercussions and consider offering support to affected users.
Okay, let's talk about corrective measures. Gabriel, what steps are we taking on the IT front?
We are immediately suspending the service provider's access and conducting a comprehensive security review of their practices. We are also implementing stricter access control and enhancing our monitoring systems to detect and prevent unauthorized access in real time.
Bungu, what about from the customer support side? We're re-evaluating our third-party agreements to ensure compliance with our data protection policies. We'll also provide additional training to providers on security and privacy. Yankel, any additional legal measures we should consider?
Yes, sir, I'm Yankel Chronicle. Beyond notifying affected users and authorities, we should revise our contracts with all third-party providers to include more strict data protection clauses and penalties for non-compliance. Along with that, we should also prepare a communication plan to handle users and media inquiries.
Good. Finally, preventative actions. Gabriel, what can we do to prevent this from happening in the future?
Well, implementing more refined access controls, regular audits on third-party access, and continuous monitoring of data sharing activities. We'll also enforce multi-factor authentication for any external access to our systems.
Bungu. Regular training for all customer support staff, both internal and external, on data protection policies. We'll also establish a stricter vetting process for third-party providers. Yankel, any legal preventative actions?
Yes, sir, I'm Yankel Crankle. A good idea would be regular legal reviews of our data protection policies and third-party agreements to ensure they are up to date with current regulations. We should also establish a protocol for immediate legal action in case of future breaches.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. This is a critical issue and we need to act decisively. Let's ensure we follow up through on these actions and maintain regular communication. We'll reconvene in a week for an update. Meeting adjourned.
Spin.